thing? We can't hear. Hi everyone, this is Tatiana Judiez. We are hosting Thrive and Shine today. And so this platform, as most of you know by now, this is a space for authentic leaders and powerful and conscious leadership. And that means that we invite people from all over the world, men and women, who really take the steps to create the change they want to see in the world. And so it really matters to me to bring this platform to you so that you have an idea of what could be the little nugget of wisdom or information today that would make a huge difference and would turn around the very authenticity that you and everyone else in this world needs to create change. So without any further ado, we have an amazing lady today who is part of the show, and I'm so excited to have her. Ciera Foster is an actress, an activist, an athlete, a model. I mean, she is the epitome of beauty and intelligence.
Oh,
and that's really why I wanted you to be on this show with me today, because I really value how you have created a following for yourself and a profession with your modeling and you as an actress in LA, which is one of the toughest spots to make it, right? But also how you're using your beauty and how you're using your voice to make a difference and to speak on behalf of women. So Ciera, welcome.
Thank
you. This is Ciera Foster.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I appreciate all of your kind words, but to me, it's just really my due diligence as a human being on the planet.
Yes.
And the fact that I have a platform is just a bonus that I feel in my heart I have to utilize. But thank you for all your kind words.
Right. Well, and this is also what I love about you, because this we just witnessed it right now, is your humility. And with that humility comes a level of authenticity that I so value and admire in you. And you're just so cute and sweet and intelligent and I'm not flattering you in ways that are not true. It's really what is so apparent from who you stand out to be when you are. And we met as you were speaking on behalf of UN Women for the LA chapter. And I was really taken with your candor. You have a beautiful energy to you. So
you have to tell my parents
well, hopefully they're listening. Mom and Dad. She's amazing. So how did you, from being an athlete, let's say, which was probably a prior part of your life, and tell us about that as well, but what has been your life up until this point, and then we'll move forward into what you want to accomplish and who you set out yourself to be. But what has been this amazing story of yours to get here?
Well, just in the short time that we've had our rapport, known each other, and my life, I feel like, has been a real adventure. Like the last time I talked to you, we were just saying, was at dinner in Rome.
Yes, exactly.
And so we were working this out. And I feel very blessed and grateful for that. But going to your original question regarding my athletics, it's so interesting, the pattern of life, and it would take so much time to go through all of my progressions of life. But I will tell you a secret to life that encompasses everything that I've been through, and so hopefully it'll put things in context. So, for example, I was about 12 years old, and people do not believe this, but I have the receipts. I used to be a really chubby wubby. I was like a really chubby little kid because I'm Black Indian at the time, but African American cultures, we get down, and so if you're happy, you eat. At least in my house, know. And I had a really difficult time. I was very a homebody. I never really noticed that I was, larger. And then when you get to middle school, you find out really quick I didn't have the best clothes or anything like that. And so I ended up I was very self-conscious, and because I was so open and loving to everyone, I thought everybody was just
course.
like that, and kids are a little bit cruel. So what ended up happening is, just for an elective, I ended up taking in summer school when I was 12 an acting course, and I loved it. And I ended up playing Queen Titania from a Mid-Numbers
what a
Night
first
Midsummer's Night
role Dream. That's like
right,
so
Shakespeare. Yeah, and exactly. And for me, with my height, I'm 6 feet. In the industry, I'm 5'11". No, I'm just kidding.
She's definitely more than 5'11".
Oh, you're gonna tell my business?
Like, hi, Ciera.
Oh, she told my height business after everything we've been through. So anyway, my point is, it's like after that, I ended up having to make a decision between acting and athletics. This is when I got recruited.
Right.
And acting was something I had always loved after that experience. But I knew, coming from a family where no one in my immediate family, granted my brother owns his own business, but nobody in my immediate family had ever actually graduated college. Now we have other people, but not my immediate family. And it was very important to me and my family, who supported me, to be the first. And I found out that this was the way. Fast forward again. That built my work ethic. The first story built my passion for acting. After I became an NCAA athlete, at the end of the day, I broke my leg before my first game. And I was like, why is this happening to me? And the moral to the story is, it wasn't happening to me. It was happening for me.
For you.
And each of those things was happening for me. And that's why I'm here today, because I was recruited to many places after I'm a state tournament finalist. And I was recruited to many places, and I came to the place in Southern California that had the least money, the worst reputation, but something was pulling at my heart. And had I not been here when I got injured, I would not be sitting here with you today, because I wouldn't be in Los Angeles. So yeah, that's been my life.
I love that. And it's, the ability for anyone to recognize that things happen for us is huge, because that's where we can connect to gratitude, and we can also connect to the lessons and how there is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in luck. I think that we are on a path that is guided.
Yeah.
And that there are a lot of lessons we need to learn along that path. And so to appreciate every step on the path as something that happens for you is huge.
It's everything.
Because then you don't go into victim attitude.
I was just thinking that,
It's a mindset. And the coaching that I do with the women who are my clients, it's one of the first things that I shift, that I ask them to look at and be aware of, because it's really leading to also feeling like you are in charge of your life.
Path of least resistance.
Exactly.
In my experience, especially after those experiences, I've learned, especially as an artist and an actor, if you keep hitting a wall, maybe the universe is trying to protect you from something. And there really are no failures. A lot of Jay-Z, a lot of people, just so many people, amazing authors and speakers, they always say they learn more from failure than they did from success. And I think that there's actually, when you get to that place in your life, there's actually something that's soothing about when you read a situation where it seems so wrong, so unfair, but you have this thing inside of you say, okay, there's a greater picture. And if somebody's religious, and I'm spiritual, but I take something from all religions. And in Genesis, I think it's chapter 6, it says, all things work together for the good, according to even the bad, according to those believe. And I think that's just believing in self and in the universe. And then you don't go into victimization, for sure.
Exactly. And you go into gratitude, you go into faith, you go into I would say also self-leadership. It's leading yourself first and foremost, and knowing who you decide to be and who is going to show up for a role, who is going to show up and for a job that you have as an actress. Who do you choose to show up as?
And every day you have to have that conversation with yourself. Before I came in here, I know who I am. I remember I used to I was a director for 200 kids at a basketball camp. And the owner, he was a very successful man, and he told me and the other directors, always know who you are and where you are at all times. Who I am, so I'm grounded, and where I am, so I can give back. And then going back to the whole thing about seeing the good in things. Do you agree? Because I'm asking you a question. Do you agree it's almost like strengthening a muscle? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, do you want to explain what I mean a little bit? Or
Well, I mean, I can refer to my own experience in my life, the path that I've taken. And it's interesting, we talk about this right now because I just had this conversation on the way here on the phone. And I was talking about a book that I'm going to be publishing in 2019. It's my story. Thank you. And so part of my intention for this book is really to show that anywhere we get to in life, whether that look of success and achievement and accomplishment and all of that has a story. And the story of my life and accomplishment and success and whatever is perceived by others on the outside is coming from a deep learning curve and muscle that I trained myself to have all these years. And it started with a time in my life where I was anorexic and bulimic.
Oh, wow.
And the shame I felt at that point, I felt shame simply because I thought, how dare I inflict this on myself when I'm a privileged white girl with parents who love me, who are, offering me a decent life. And so I then decided that this amount of shame for me was too much to handle. I just thought I need to do something.
And it was self-induced too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It was just my way of dealing with the situation with the limited tools I had on the moment, right? I just, and so I trained my brain to look at everything in terms of this glass is half full, not half empty. So it is a muscle. It's a mindset that you choose to have. And this is why I believe that, it's so crucial for every woman to know, because we're taking this little small example, this conversation that we're having right now, to a bigger, broader frame for women today. It means that we have a choice. And the choice comes with us first and foremost to choose every day who we are, who we choose to be, and doing that inner work. Because if we are not the owners of that self-identity inside, then who are we? And doing that,
we're the stewards of our own higher self.
Yes. So it's so worth it for women to do this work so they show up powerfully. So they show up with all the tools they need to really accomplish whatever they want, because they have that power.
Well, it's also too about taking responsibility. That's another one of the things that is discussed in the book of the Four Agreements, which I'm reading the second time. We talked about that earlier.
It's an amazing book.
Wayne Dyer, and also because I like to watch Super Soul Sunday.
Oh my God,
on
yes,
Oprah.
yes,
right,
my favorite show ever.
Right, they all talk about, and I also started watching business television. That's because I intentionally don't have cable. I mean, I'll watch Netflix because of my because I'm like, it's called television programming for a while, but we'll get into the psychology and neuroscience pathways of that later. And then people think I'm weird and like, we don't support that anymore.
No, I'm weird with you then.
Right. But they all say is that the most successful entrepreneurs, because there was a gentleman, his name escapes me, I wrote it in my notebook, but he trains, he's a consultant, he trains businessmen, and really successful entrepreneurs to be even more successful. And he said what he found, Wayne Dyer said this as well, who's an amazing author and public speaker and very good friends with Oprah. Yeah. He said that the most successful people are able to have something happen and then immediately redirect, and they control what they pay attention to. Now, he said also a lot of people in everyday life think that they are, I think most people are oblivious and they let things affect them. Yeah. They let things come into their inner frequency. Yeah. But also he stated that a lot of people think that they're doing one thing and they're doing another. And that's something I did a lot. And it comes down to personal responsibility. Yes, things happen to you, but that was my point of the Four Agreements. It's the fourth agreement. You have to take responsibility.
Absolutely. It's a huge part of my coaching, and it's a huge part of my life. Right. Because if you don't take responsibility for anything that is happening in your life, meaning, let me rephrase that. If you don't take responsibility for every part that takes place in your life, including the failure of a relationship or including a job that you don't get. And it doesn't mean that it's about blame, though.
No.
Right?
No.
It's not about blame. It's about learning what it is that you could have done differently.
Exactly.
That could have had a different
Right.
impact. Because in every moment, you are a creator.
Right.
You create a perception in others.
Right.
You create an energy in yourself.
And reality is just your own perception.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And being aware that whatever you're creating will have an impact
Right.
on others, will have influence.
Yeah.
So how do you actually ramp up your leadership
Right.
so that what they perceive is aligned directly with
Right.
who you are
Right.
and what your values are?
But with perception, I will say something I've experienced, particularly in Los Angeles, is, and this is something I'm sure you're aware of, perception is something that's unique to each individual. So oftentimes you can be putting out your best self, and sometimes people will only see what they want. And you shouldn't be ashamed or offended, because people can only meet you at the level that you're at. And I used to be very impacted by that. I used to be like, well, I think I'm nice and I'm working with charities, but you don't like me. But it's like, no, this is who I am. Not
Yes.
everybody's going to accept it. But the point is, I'm being true to myself.
Exactly, which really matters
Right.
most, because
Right.
otherwise you're not
Right.
authentic, and you lead a double life. This
And you
is
feel unfulfilled. When you're not following your highest
Absolutely.
path, you feel completely
Empty.
unbalanced, you know?
Yeah. And that's really how I came to LA, really, is I had reached this level of success that was great, but on the outside. And yet on the inside,
We just talked about this.
right? And on the inside, I felt there was something missing.
Sure.
And so it's really digging into that brought me to LA and doing this type of work today,
Right.
which is utterly fulfilling.
Right.
But this alignment again with the perception in others that is aligned with your truth and authenticity, as you said, there are filters people have that will prevent them from, and
Right.
it's really not about you.
It's never
but
about
it's
you.
Right.
Right.
It's about them. Like they perceive
Second chapter.
according to how.
Right. If they're going to have to pay me for this. No, second. I'm just kidding. I love this book. But no, they talk about never take anything personal. I don't want to get you, but I just want to say that agreement, if you can really work and master that, it will change your life.
Absolutely.
I'm reading that book again because the first time I read it, I was in a total ascension. I meditated on it. I thought on it. I constantly prayed on it. And I'm just saying, I don't want people to think I'm saying these things in a religious way. I just was so aligned with open to receiving it. Because
Yes.
you know, you have to be open. And it really will put you on a frequency. And that is a power. When you're able to have be faced with something, whether it's personal or not, and just not even be affected, it's better than anything you can ever say or do in that situation.
That to me is power.
And the universe will correct it if you let it. You got to get out of your own way.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So yummy. I would say so yummy and so juicy. And this is not anything religious. It's really about choosing to live at a level of frequency that is what where your heart sings.
Right.
It's when you feel lit up inside.
Right.
And when your heart is just full of joy and light, that's better than anything. That's the juiciest way to live.
But isn't
ever.
it amazing that we as human beings, individuals in a society, we don't cherish that.
No, we don't.
We don't think
No.
that. In fact, I am writing a piece, and I talk about in the piece how, I know, you've been telling me to do. I am. Even people online are like, write a book. It may not be a book, or it may. I don't know. But I think that a lot of, I'm losing my train of thought here, a lot of, oh no, what were you just, sorry.
Yes.
Forgive me, in the book or in the piece I'm writing, I talk about how not only do we not do exactly what you just said, but we live our best life, enjoy it, but we actually run for it. And for me, as someone with degrees in social behavioral science, that's very interesting to me. Like, we not only think we just don't deserve that happiness and joy, but we actually run from it.
And for women specifically, I
Yes.
feel it's even more prevalent in their lives because in general, what I've noticed is that we as women have a sense of self-worth that is often so low.
And distorted and unattainable.
Distorted, right? And so that really dictates how, women with low self-worth will behave and will run for what they believe they deserve, which I don't believe that you deserve really anything. I believe that we create the environment and the possibilities that are aligned with our sense of self-worth inside, right? But we're conditioned. This is why women are rising, I believe, today. Is we're rising because we have a light within and a fire within that wants to bring this world to a different level and a different reality and a reality that is much more filled with light and joy and compassion and love, because that's what we're made of. Right. Mostly when we are in our truth and in that feminine energy, right? But society really boxes us in. And we're constantly trying to pull out of, and I'm sure you've, as an actress, you must have gone through so much of that. And that was actually the panel talk that we met. Right. Is I can't remember exactly the subject, but it was about how women are perceived in the media world, and so as an actress, what type of, instead of talking about what you have not appreciated in terms of experiences and
right, I gotcha.
Right? Instead of spending time on the negative, let's spend time on the positive, and let's look at you experiencing whatever you've experienced here in LA or other parts of the world as an actress and as an activist. What are the amazing steps that you've witnessed so far that are taken by women and for women? And further than that, what are your steps?
Okay. Well, I will have to say, first and foremost, male or female, the biggest key is being your most authentic self.
What does that mean?
So for being your most authentic self is really striving to be your highest self, to not do things for the benefit of other people, to remove ego, which is very hard because the ego gets a negative connotation. But if you really break it down from a psychological standpoint, it's almost like a defense mechanism to protect you.
It's a mask.
Right.
It's a mask.
It's a mask because your brain is just designed to protect you. So that's why it's so hard when you try something new, because it doesn't know what's going to happen for you. You're unstable. So it sends a signal that says this isn't safe. And then it floods you with all these reasons why you shouldn't do this. And we understand that physical reaction, but we forget the mental. So I would say meditation is something, it might sound generic, but it's changed my life. Just giving yourself that time to just have a moment before you
be still.
There is a space in between your thoughts, and there is a space in between your response. And it's also, for me, knowing that whether it's in my career, whether it's in my personal life, with my partner, with my friends, everything I do and say has value as a seed. And okay, this book again, be impeccable with your word, the third agreement. So
that refers to integrity.
Right. So with that, not to harp on the negatives, I was in situations where I was, I'm on a show, I play a superhero, and shout out to Valiant Comics and Bat in the Sun, who directed it, and all of our fans, especially the Livewire fans. I love you.
Isn't she like the most amazing superhero woman? I mean, it's awesome.
It's funny because people meet me at Comic-Con, they're like, are you the same person? Because they're like, you're so nice. I'm like, why is that a question?
Yeah, exactly. Because they believe that there should be a space.
It's the perception.
That's right. So they believe that an actress shouldn't be that nice.
And just to encompass that with what you said, just to finish that thought, it's like, I almost, if I didn't have a sense of self, if I didn't meditate, if I didn't have a groundedness, I almost would feed into that and be what I thought people needed to be.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because once you do that, you probably will lose your following, because the thing is, or maybe you'll have a good following, but people feel authenticity. They connect.
Absolutely. It is something that people feel. It's an energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy, right? When people are angry, they're felt as such, and
you can feel when somebody walks into a room, kinetic energy. So
I love that you are a superhero in the movies and in the series that you have as a role, because as we were saying before we started the show, is it matches exactly the way that you want to serve this world. It matches exactly how you want to show up as a person, as a woman in this world. You want to serve this world, to bring your best self, to create a different level for the higher good.
Right. Well, to me, it's all about being a superhero on and off camera. And everybody that knows me, part of the reason I, am so close to my fans and supporters is because, one, I'm a nerd, and two, I'm doing
I'm a nerd.
I'm doing,
you look like a nerd.
You know
really
what?
Do.
I'm the next, I'm that new generation nerd. Like, I just sneak up on you, you know what I mean? But I just feel like, me being my true self. I'll tell you a quick story. I was recruited by Wilhelmina. I won't say which agent.
Okay.
And I get into the office, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we want to work with you possibly, but we don't get this superhero thing, And they were like, "Can you drop that? It's like weird." You know what I mean? Like, how are they going to be a model? And it's like, you look at it. And I was like, no. And I think that you just have to have a real sense of self. And even if it looked like that was right, who doesn't want to be signed to Wilhelmina? But I was just like, I know what I love. I'm going to do this. And even before I got my role, I was still talking about this. And I think it's very important to really jump into anything you love. You have to see it before it happens. Like, honey, I used to go into acting class like, "Hi, my name is Ciera Foster. I'm a superhero." They probably thought I was really weird. I'm sure they did, because I was not, and I was unemployed at the time. So they probably thought I was really weird. Like, you're unemployed and now you're going, that's a stretch to superhero. But I saw it in my mind.
Yes.
And I feel like I
manifested it.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother story we could get into later. But I definitely manifested it for sure, But
it's really a way to see yourself that really matches. There is no space. We were just talking about there is a space that, in between words and reactions, and you created it. You visualized it. You believed it to begin with. You created it, and that really matters. Yeah. Also, that's faith. It's having faith.
It's faith, but it's also self-care.
Oh, for
self-care is so important. It's at the root of literally everything. And my philosophy is, if it doesn't serve you, it doesn't deserve you. And that's in relationships, work. There's so many people going to work absolutely miserable.
Oh my God, I know.
I don't want to spend my life like that. Like, I'm grateful, but money's not that important to me. My peace of mind and my experiences are what I value. But even when it comes to food, you could just say really quickly, if it doesn't serve you, doesn't deserve you. Okay, is this cheeseburger gonna help me out? And I'm all for it. I believe there's nothing you can't work off. But it just, when you get to a certain level where you can just say, okay, is this serving me? Okay, then it doesn't deserve me.
Yeah.
And when you take care of yourself like that, and you meditate, and you get enough sleep, and you eat healthy, it's not selfish.
No.
You can actually give back more. And just to tie it to everything you were saying, to be able to filter through things, to be able to push on, to be able to do all of that, you have to be in a place where you can even have that space in between your thoughts. So even with friendships, if it doesn't serve you, it doesn't deserve you, because you are the creator of your own life. So you have to be very
mindful.
It's really that simple, to be honest. It's not easy to do.
I think
it's really that simple in context.
I think it's very simple once you have practiced this, because
you don't know till you know.
That's right. Because you see, once you're there, you see how well it works and how great you feel, and how magically people shed out of your life or brought in
or just
to
attract.
Your life. Exactly. Magically, because they're meant to, because your energy is, you don't even have to say anything, by the way.
You don't.
It's just energy. The people feel it. And so I used to be really bothered when I would lose friends way back when all of this, when I became
me too.
Right?
I was like, why?
And I'd be like, oh,
right?
What did I do? And I felt really bad. And then
you beat yourself up.
Right. And I'd feel guilty.
Right.
But that's like a good, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Right. But and then you went to, you had to level up. You went to a different frequency.
Yeah, and now it's like I don't celebrate it because I don't want
But you understand
don't particularly appreciate, but I understand it as I'm rising to a different
Yeah.
level.
And it's hard
like,
for people.
It is.
You know,
It
they
is.
see something in you that reminds them of something they're missing in themselves. And again,
Right.
it's not personal. I used to take that very personal.
Yeah.
You know, I had a friend, we were friends for 10 years. We stopped being friends. I literally was depressed because it was like my sister. And it was a very traumatic way that it happened where I felt very, very hurt. But then one day I was just like, if this person can hurt me that bad, then one, I'm letting it happen. And two, you know, that's not somebody I want in my life. And that's another thing. That doesn't mean it's not going to hurt less because I've known them so long.
Yeah.
I think people think mindfulness is like, well, I expect to meditate and it just goes away. Or no. But you have the logic and the strength within you, and you have a system and trust in the universe where you're like, this doesn't feel good, but I can take a step back and see it from the outside and be logical how to move on in my logic spiritual world, which will take care of the physical world.
Absolutely. So then it brings me to ask you, what do you foresee in your life happening in terms of the work, the work as an activist? You speak a lot on behalf of women. What is your favorite subject to speak on women?
Well, to answer your first question, I definitely see myself doing more things like this. We spoke earlier and I told you that acting is absolutely my passion. It's like oxygen to me. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. But helping people is my purpose. So I'm actually going to be working with quite a few charities, but the latest one that I'll be working with is Engineers Without Borders, similar to Doctors Without Borders.
Interesting.
Right, and they're doing irrigation and water systems in Kenya, and they reached out to me because I had put up some political content, and also I was working with Water Underground. Shout out to those guys in Mozambique, also doing the same thing with clean water wells, and it was such an organic experience because I said I'm going to get back into this. Didn't know how, because I've been so on my Comic-Con superhero thing. I just got back in the country, but I said I'm going to do this. And a gentleman reached out to me, one of their engineers, and we got to talking, and it turns out they are looking for someone who can come and work with these women because in Kenya, they don't have sanitary items and they don't have clean water. So you can imagine. And he just felt for him as a male, it was something that they needed a woman. And they said they saw me and then you're a superhero. And then they found out that my degrees are in women, gender studies, ethnic studies, and psychology. So I'm really excited about that. And to answer your question, I definitely feel as a superhero, I will pursue more of those roles as well as other roles. But that is that's a huge part of who I am as an artist and as a person. And honestly, I've done a lot of reevaluating lately, and at this point, I am a role model. So, so that changes things a lot for me. And in the future, I intend to actually focus more on utilizing my degrees, my platform and experience to help people.
What is the greatest impact you would like to make?
For me, there's a saying that says people will not remember what you said. They might not remember what you did, but they will always remember the way you made them feel. So if I can make as many people feel good, blessed, and happy as possible, then I feel good. And it might sound funny, but you know, it's almost like Denzel Washington said, it's almost selfish in a way because I get so much joy. You know, I've had times where, you know, mentally I was so depressed. There was a lot of political, you know, things going on with the licensing of my character at one point in 2 different companies. And I thought, like, I've worked so hard on this for 2 years. Like, you know, why is this happening? And it's just because I take so much pride in my work, especially playing a superhero and being a role model, that I was just devastated. And I realized my perception, I had to switch it. And now here I am with you, and I have a wonderful following. And so for me, I want to make people feel good, but specifically, there is no excuse to me that people do not have clean water on this planet, especially children. You know, so many, like 7,000 children die a day. And it's just so unnecessary. There's plenty of resources. And before I die, that's something that I want to help change. And that's why I work with literally 3 organizations that focus on that, because it's that pressing. No one should have to go live without clean water.
True.
You know,
7,000 children.
a day.
That's crazy.
You know, that should bother us. Now, granted, there's a lot of things that should bother us, but you know, water is literally the source of life, and these are children. So for me, that's definitely something. I'm at a point where I have to do more. I just have to do more. That's the best way I can say it.
And you are.
Thank you.
And that's why, you know, I wanted you on the show, because you are taking the steps that create change.
Thank you.
Matter to your heart and that create change. So, and so what is the next step for you in order to help them? Is there a strategy that you are following?
We are working on a curriculum. I'm going to present a curriculum to basically help the women there. The good thing is, with my background, not only am I able to help from the women and gender standpoint, but the cultural aspect with ethnic studies, because there is a lot of, I just experienced that going. It doesn't matter. People think it's like, oh, third world countries. Everybody has a cultural dynamic that you have to respect.
That's very different.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
I mean, you were just in Italy, I'm sure.
Right.
Just Italy or France or Germany. I mean, there
Right.
are little differences everywhere
Yeah.
that need to be respected.
Totally. So I will be somewhat of a liaison from the cultural sense with the engineers and the people. I will also be giving comic books to the kids and the girls and doing, because they've never seen a black superhero. You know what I mean? I certainly did it when I grew up, and I did not take that lightly, or a female superhero. But most importantly, I'm going to be working on them with the menstrual sanitation and water technology and information. And I will either be going in January at the end, or I'll be going to Kenya in May, hopefully.
Fun.
So, yeah. So that's what I'm working on.
And are they specifically focusing on Kenya?
No.
And other countries?
No. I think they definitely move around. Engineers Without Borders. That's just like Doctors Without Borders.
But right now, this is how you were aligned, basically.
Because they talk to the parliament and of every council, because people don't realize there's actual political structures in these places amongst the tribes
that would prevent an infrastructure from being built, I'm sure.
Totally.
Right? Yeah.
So they definitely move around. They talk to every tribe or council that there is. And for me, I also, super wonderful, I had the chance to work with, I actually took over for Sharon Stone, which was crazy.
Awesome.
Right, who I met, and I love her for Water Underground.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
she
her
really
as
is.
well.
She's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
She's very passionate about this too. And they're working in Mozambique, Water Underground. So I'm just, to me, I love the fact that I'm working with two charities on the same front, and then UN Women. I just feel like my time is so blessed, and I'm so grateful.
How is the acting as a superhero in your world? How has that taught you in your life? I mean, we've talked about how it actually is very parallel to to who you like. It's not even a role; it's really who you are. But has it taught you actually?
It has taught me so much. Before my show even came out almost 2 years ago, I was a Nigerian publication company. Shout out to Buzz in Motion. I'm like a rapper. I'm like, shout out to buy my EP. No, I'm just kidding. But, I was working with this company doing some press, and they had actually connected me to the Lagos Comic-Con, and they had asked me to be the face of Lagos Comic-Con in Nigeria. And that's when I was like, whoa. I had sent a video, and the people were just going crazy over a video. And so that, to me, I realized it's bigger and greater than me. But it's funny because I've always identified myself with my personality, like you stated, and being a superhero. And yes, that's a part of me. But when I went through that time when things were going on with the licensing and politics, I actually, I was in New York for a certain event. People that follow me probably know what I'm talking about in the comic world, but that's neither here nor there. I came back from New York. I had just been traveling to 3 different countries in Europe, and I was exhausted. But it's my job to be there. And it's like, I'm going to show up. And then that whole debacle happened, and I was really just unbalanced. And I ended up, a lot of people don't know this, last year I worked secretly at a foster care facility, a behavioral treatment residential facility for young girls. I was a director, and I had about 15 employees under me, and I was responsible for about 15 girls at a time. And the girls had a lot of challenges. I was able to do that because of my education and previous humanitarian work. And what I learned most about being a superhero is that they didn't even know I was a superhero. I kept it very hush-hush. But that it matters, but then it doesn't matter. Because it's like, what are you doing? And I realized that there's so much outside of life, outside of this. And it was my dream, and I was pushing it, and I'm still very grateful. But that experience led me to everything I'm doing with my writing, and it's just about being your own superhero. Because those girls definitely saved me. So the biggest thing that I learned is that
is so cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's that's just what like I said, that's what I do. But my purpose is to help people, and it really put things in context. Because these girls love me like a mother, but they had no idea what I did. That does something to a person, I think.
Absolutely. That's really touching lives in a real way.
Yeah. Shout out to all my girls. You're probably not listening, but I love you guys.
Well, they might be able to watch the recording eventually.
Yeah, they don't have access all the time to social media, but
maybe you just create an evening where you just bring it over.
Yeah,
have a little movie.
No,
night.
Actually, I think I'm gonna definitely reach out to them. I think a couple of them follow me on Instagram somehow. I don't know, but I think this would be a great conversation for them to hear. Yeah.
So what else do you want to be involved with in this world? What lights you up?
Well, I've always
What else lights you up? Because we've talked a lot about what lights you up.
Yeah.
But what else lights you up?
Live wire pun. My character has electricity.
Well, there you go.
Right. You always got to get a live wire pun in there, like
See?
somewhere.
I knew it.
It's like,
I can feel it.
When you said that, I was like, I thought this would happen. But it's funny. I actually, during this same time, I thought about actually joining the city council because I was so pissed with everything that was going on. I was like, I'm going to sign up for Emily's list. I had like this whole plan. And then I realized that I'm not a politician, and maybe but yet, here's the thing. There's nothing. And Will Smith said that. He's like, if I wanted to be president of the United States, no, I'm not. That's not my field. But I would do whatever it took. So for me, the only reason I didn't do that is not because I don't believe in myself, because statistically, I shouldn't even be here talking to you. But it's just like, I realize my platform now lends itself to more, staying in my lane, to more to greater
and this
differences.
is what is really important, is really to use your platform for the greater good.
Right. That's why after working with the girls, I was like, okay, I need to come back. I actually ended up getting injured. Those girls, they have a lot of issues, and you're taking a lot of people. I mean, they have trauma, and so they had challenges. So I ended up having an injury. But like I said, I was supposed to learn the lesson, and then it happened for me so I could do better for the rest of the world and the people that are kinetically following me and that I affect.
So no politics?
Not right now, but the way things are going, you guys
might both found out.
Right, you might just look on the TV and be like, is that LiveWire? Like, what's going on? I'm definitely going to be 2 years ago. I don't know if you know. Were you there? No, you weren't there.
I wasn't here. No.
I led the women's march for the UN Women.
I read that, but I wasn't here.
Wow.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah. So that was very amazing. So yeah, doing more things like that. And we talked about this. I'm definitely writing a piece about my experience abroad and with women because, wow, it's so different.
Why? What is so different about it? Is it really going back to this cultural difference, or is it, what is it exactly that calls you?
To keep it brief, we have a lot of challenges in this country, especially for women. And believe me, I know more than anyone as an actress in this industry the particular challenges and issues that are prevalent in this field of the arts, However, in Italy, they're not even having a Me Too conversation. You know what I mean? I was surprised, and, I'm part Italian. I got a lot of Italian friends. I was living there. I don't want to offend anyone, but I was able to talk to many different women from many different backgrounds, and the consensus was the same. A lot of them weren't really open unless we were together. And believe me, there are some very strong, amazing women there. But
no
they,
question.
Right.
We're probably talking about what's outside of them.
right.
What is
and they have to work
society
so
like?
hard. There's like 4 of them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well, and I'm French, and I don't see my path of evolution as an entrepreneur being the way that it has been had I
Had you
actually
stayed there, yeah.
lived in France. No, absolutely not.
yeah.
It wouldn't have
Yeah.
happened at all. I would
Yeah.
have been fighting with men my
Yeah.
entire life.
I'll definitely send you the piece. But, you know, I went because I have an agent there now. And I went and I talked to my agent who's a woman, and she's awesome. I've always wanted a female agent. But, you know, I was very shocked to realize that, okay, they don't have a lot of people of color, but that I get because it's origins. But there's no female lead action stars, not even superheroes, because we're still getting there, but just leading roles. You know what I mean? Like, that's just so normal for us. Like, they don't have one. Like, there's not even like one. Like, you know how Liam Neeson was like our guy?
Yeah.
And then it was like Jeremy Renner. Like, they don't even have like one go-to person, you know?
Right.
And it's a very... you'll have to read my piece, and I'll
Please.
post about it on Instagram
Yes,
because it's
please
too much to
send
get
it,
into.
and then I really want to promote it
Yeah,
as well.
maybe
because
I could come back and we could do a
Is
live
that
reading.
what we were talking about when we were on the phone?
We were on the
Oh my
phone in
God.
Rome when I was at dinner,
Right.
and you actually are the one that said, "Oh, maybe you can do a piece." And I
Write
was like,
about
"Yeah."
it.
So I'll also be doing a lot more writing because I realized, you know what, girl, you have
Yay.
a story.
Yes,
I
you have a
mean,
lot to say.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like
So
it's
is
mental
it-
health, everything.
Is Italy, do you find Italy being representative of what you've just talked about? Is it representative of Europe, or is it really particular to Italy?
I have been to 10 different countries. I can't speak for them all. I lived in Italy, so I think I still have a little bit. And I've talked to the women there. I did a Comic-Con in Slovenia. The women there were like so strong. It was, you know, they were like, if a man said, they were talking about how one senator was saying women don't need to go into universities. Like, they were changing the scores for the men, for the women. And he got so much, like, sorry to say it, but lashback, you know what I mean? I wasn't saying that, I was just gonna say crap, but and the women there are just totally in control. So from that standpoint, no, it's not all of Europe, and I wouldn't be so naive or culturally insensitive or ignorant to say, yes, it's all.
Right.
I can say, because I'm very direct, it is a very male-dominated society in Italy. That's not to say you can't be progressive. That's not to say it's a beautiful society. Like, I would live there, but I was in shock.
You would have to be very aware of the limitations and how you want to move through them.
Right.
So we have a little bit of time left, not much, maybe 2 minutes. What would be the one word that defines you?
I would have to say, you know, it sounds funny, but it keeps coming to me. I want to say something cool, but it's just love. Just love. You know, it's not always easy, but self-love, love for others, it really is the root of all things. Like, I can't not have people have clean water because I love them. I don't even know them, but I just love people.
We are one.
Yeah. Even when I don't love people, because I'm in Hollywood, I still love people. I'm like reminding myself, like, you love people.
I love you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to love people from a distance, though. Like,
And
I'm going to
that's
love
the
you
power
over there.
of self-leadership and
Yeah.
knowing yourself and doing that inner work that allows you to know and decipher when to love someone from far or when to love someone from a very close proximity. So we are done. It went so fast. It went so fast. I'm so honored. Thank you. I wish you the best. I know you're going to create the best because you are so amazing and so full of light and so full of love. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for doing this. It's remarkable what you've done, and I have such a respect from people who come from another country and follow their dreams, especially because I was just an immigrant in another country.
Exactly.
And you just have all my love and light, and I'm sending you positive energy, and thank you for making this platform. Like, you are such a example. Like, you inspired me. So thank you for having me.
I love you. Thank you everyone for
Thank you.
watching after this amazing finale on love.
Now we're
and
gonna
light.
cry. No, I'm just kidding.